Boom, shakalaka boom. You tuned in to the free range human show of choice, your daily dose of reality radio. It starts right now. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I'm, of course, Clay Edwards here on 103.9 FM WYAB, pumping all across the central Mississippi FM airwaves. And, of course, streaming worldwide at Save JXN on Facebook, YouTube, X, and then at Clay Edwards Show if you're watching on Rumble. Appreciate everybody tuning in this morning. A rainy Monday. Finally getting a little bit of rain around here. I got a little bit last night. I woke up this morning. I normally leave my dogs outside till I get back home from after the radio show. But I had something said, look at the phone. Look at the weather. See what it's going to do. Don't leave the dogs out. Because I've made that mistake a couple of times. I've let the dogs out and got about halfway here and the bottom fall out. I'm like, poor dogs. Do need to get a dog house back there. Anyway, with that said, got the dogs back in the house so they don't get rained on. Because of course it did not start raining until I got on I-20. And I just hate driving in the rain. At night, it's still dark in the rain too. It's already Death Race 2K out there on 220 with the Jacksonians that can't drive. I don't know. Can anybody explain to me where Jacksonians are always in such a rush to get? Because most of them don't actually have jobs. Just like always late, in a rush to get nowhere, and don't have a job. What are y'all doing? Where are you going? Somebody tell me. The government's closed. The free checks are at a stop right now. Man, these Bubblicious Ghost energy drinks. This is like crack right here. I've never smoked crack, but from everything I understand, it's addictive. These are really good. I got this one in a purple drink, the Welch's grape flavor, and I kind of toggle back and forth between that. My personal favorite is the cream sickle. That's really good too. Ghost Energy has really just been on one with these brand not mergers, but these combos they're doing, these collabs. C4 also. C4 actually has the real creamsicle, the Popsicle brand creamsicle collab. We're living in the golden age of things that can kill you that taste really good. I'm sure these energy drinks are terrible for you. And I don't know where I picked up this bad habit. I went so long without drinking these things. It's only got 1 gram of carb, so there's no carbs in these things. That's good. Which I knew that, but I was just confirming just because, man, the strawberry. I can't eat strawberries because of my diverticulitis. I can't eat anything with really small seeds. So if I want any strawberry, it has to be artificial flavoring like this. If I want to taste that delicious strawberry flavor. Because the day that my colon ruptured and I got stuck with a colostomy bag for 3 months and gutted like a fish, or more like gutted like a deer, all my intestines laid out into a stainless steel bowl and pinched back together for 3 months, and then everything taken back out and put back together so I could use my bottom end again. Exit only, of course. Always has been. But I went 3 months where the exit was on my stomach. Yeah, long. Ugh. Man, I'll have to tell y'all the story one day. It'll have to be in the 8 or 9 o'clock hour. We won't do it with kids in the car. But I'll have to tell y'all the story one day about the barium enema that I had to get. My goodness. You think you've had an embarrassing situation. I could tell you about the absolute most embarrassing, humbling experience of my life. And I'll just say this, and we'll pivot here. I was under the impression that when they did this barium enema thing, and that is where they shove a camera up your butthole. And I thought, surely, if they're shoving anything up my butthole, I'm going to be asleep and unconscious for this. I didn't take no pain pills that day. Nothing. I thought, yeah, they're going to put me under. I'm not going to take my pain pills. I'll take theirs. They're going to put a drip in me. I mean, I'm not ready for this. I get there and they put me on a stainless steel embalming table in a skirt or black, whatever, those hospital gowns. And I'm just going to leave the story here. I'm not going to go any further, but I will tell this one day. It may not even be good for FM radio. We may have to just do an internet-only thing here. There was a hot, South American nurse. I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, she was a 22. I mean, smoke show, Venezuelan. If she's here illegally, let her stay. I'll marry her. We'll keep her here. She's smoke show. Smoke show. I mean, I've dated some good-looking women in my life, and she's hotter than any of them. Smoke show. It was her and a gay ginger guy. And I just remember the last thing he said to me as they were violating me was, "Take a deep breath." Why not you take a deep breath? What the? That's not your nose. Yeah. I at the time I worked with a couple of gay guys at Hair and Gear Toyota. Well, one was gay and one used to do gay porn, but he was actually married to a woman. He was only gay for pay. Anyway, I just remember texting them both in a group text and told them I had an entire new level of respect for their pain tolerance because there's no way I could ever do that by choice. And that's not the worst of that story. We'll save that for an uncensored version. We will save that for the uncensored version. Anyway, but don't think your gay friends are weak and have no pain tolerance. Because what I learned laying there on that embalming table, getting that barium enema that day was that they have a high tolerance for pain. And that thing wasn't no bigger than this pen. Anyway, all right. There's no way that I can pivot from that to what I actually want to talk about, the main topic today, the KYREN LACEY stuff, the LSU football player that got allegedly falsely accused of causing a wreck that killed somebody, which led to him committing suicide. We're gonna pivot that to the 725 segment, the second segment of the show, because again, I think it's just a little too. I can't pivot there. It's too disrespectful. But let's see here. Let's look at my notes here and see what else I had lined up to talk about. Yes. I know now what I want to talk about. So I'm filming a movie. I'm going to miss a couple days this week. I'm going to be a movie star. So all of my ex-girlfriends will be able to say, I'll be able to ask all of them, what's it like knowing you slept with a movie star? What's it like sleeping with somebody famous that you don't get to talk to no more? So I'll get to add that to the resume. Shout out to the ex-girlfriends. So anyway, I'm filming a movie over in Vicksburg, and this ain't no low rent nonsense either. There's actually it's budget, it's production, it's the real deal. Probably gonna be on Netflix or Amazon Prime or something. Maybe Fubu. I don't know, whatever that other one is. We'll see. So I'm gonna be famous, more famous than I already am, of course. And so the people that are filming the movie, they've been on this show before. They're the same guys that did the documentary by the Neshoba County Fair. And this has been all over the news. They're filming over in Vicksburg this month for like 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, something like that. It's a big production. And I'm going to be an extra in it. Me and several of my buddies, Big Lance, Fred Shanks, Big Luke Greenlee, and a couple other folks that I was able to get hooked up with the parts. Because they asked me when I went over there for my fitting Friday. It was me and Fred went over there Friday to make sure the uniforms that we're going to be wearing for the roles that we have, make sure everything fit and all that, so there were no surprises. Well, I volunteered to say, well, do y'all need more people? Because they needed some swole guys. I mean, look, y'all can hate on me all you want. I'm a big boy. I'm 6'3", 241.4 pounds as of this morning. I'm a pretty big old boy. There's obviously bigger. They went, yeah, we just need some big swole guys. I'm like, got it. I know big swole guys. I don't know a lot that think they're big and swole. This should be easy. So I made a post. I'm going to read y'all exactly what I posted. And we're going to have a conversation about the feminization of the American male. The fallout from this post has been comical and sad all at the same time. So I said, movie extras needed. Quote, I need 3 bigger, swole guys to play private security guys or cops this Tuesday or Wednesday night in Vicksburg. It does not pay, but it's a great opportunity to have some prominent screen time in a big budget motion picture. If I vouch for you and you burn me, I will talk bad about you. I'm not kidding. And I'm going to. If anybody burns me, I will talk bad about you. And I simply said, DM me if interested, and you can work potentially all night Tuesday and Wednesday night without pay. I want that to be up front. This is called an opportunity to be in a big budget film, to be all over the TV. And what it does is it gets your foot in the door. A lot of people in Mississippi who get these roles over and over again when they bring big budget production films to Mississippi, they're people who started out working as an extra for free. And then because they behaved, they acted right, they didn't screw up, they didn't get starstruck and bug the stars or anything like that, they have a working relationship now with the production team. Well, they'll potentially call you back and say, hey, we've got a little bit better role that we need somebody in. Maybe you're a taxi driver, an Uber driver, whatever. Maybe you do something, and maybe you even have a speaking role in a movie. Or maybe you play a bartender, something like that. Anyway, it gets your foot in the door to do cool stuff. And you get to go to the premiere if they do one here in Mississippi, which they will. Anyway, this is stuff I enjoy doing. Y'all be shocked. Like this radio show, I did this radio show for free for a while. You don't just wake up one day, decide you want to do radio and get paid to do it. That's music DJs that get to do that. Not talk radio hosts. We have to get up. We have to sell the show to sponsors. Like WYAB doesn't pay Clay Edwards. Clay Edwards pays Clay Edwards through WYAB by going and getting sponsors. And it's hard to get sponsors for a show that doesn't have an audience. So it's kind of like the chicken and egg thing. I can't be on the radio without sponsors, but it's hard to get sponsors without a proven product. That's why my social media platform gave me an opportunity that a lot of people don't, because I already kind of built a bit of an audience online and brought it with me to an extent. And I will tell you, no matter how big my online audience is, the radio show, the power of the FM dial beats anything that I could do online. It's just something about being on the radio in your cars in the mornings. Anyway, I digress. So you when you get into entertainment, creative stuff, ask any band how many shows they've played for free, opening up for bigger bands and getting the opportunity to get in front of an audience or to play for a promoter or, again, get to open up for a big band. And a lot of times that band's management will see them and say, man, these guys are pretty good. Let me take them under my wings. That's how this works. I mean, I ask all the women that did stuff for Harvey Weinstein. You got to pay the cost to be the boss. Sometimes you got to get the knees dirty. That's a joke. That's a joke. Point being, I made it quite clear that you got to do stuff for free sometimes. Man, the people in my DMs, man, my time is, I don't work for free. My time is worth money. Give me $100, I'll come do it. No, how about you just don't reply? If you can't do what was addressed in the initial comment, how about don't do it? Anyway, so it's truly disheartening, honestly, to see how many grown men. There's the real crux of my ire this morning. See, there's two words I don't use a lot: crux and ire. It's really disheartening to see how many grown men got in their feelings over the term swole. Ooh-wee. Whether in the comments, the shared captions where people shared it and wrote their own little caption, group discussions where it got shared into some of these local real talk groups, or even in my DMs. The reaction speaks volumes about the fragile state of masculinity and the rampant insecurity among modern American men in 2025. It also sheds a light on why calling someone fat is now treated like a racial slur. But let's be real. You're either swole or you're not. You know it. He knows it. She knows it. I know it. And anyone who sees you walk into a room knows it. Either you're swole or you're not. On top of that, some of you clearly need a refresher in reading comprehension. It explicitly stated it was a non-paid gig. I received at least 10 DMs from people demanding X amount of dollars because my time isn't free. Sure, and neither is a gym membership, and you ain't using that. Because here's the kicker. Not a single one of those complainers that demanded that their time wasn't free even met the swole criteria outlined in the post. Look, I can rant endlessly about the absurdity that poured in after that post, but it all circles back to my main point. Guys getting overly emotional and failing to mask their insecurities over a word like swole. It's almost comical. It's almost comical how some of you got legitimately worked up. If that's you, do yourself a favor. Text Clay to 601-800-5130 for a free testosterone screening from Men's Health Mississippi. And let's get you back chemically balanced. Because the level of sensitivity coming across from some of y'all, it's pretty feminine. I'm just going to be a big feminine energy. That said, I filled the spots within an hour. And I'm still getting messages, which is fine. And I appreciate everybody. And look, I'm talking about the minority here, not the majority. Most people know how to act. But man, I got more text. One woman, and God bless her, I'm not talking bad about her, but I was real clear about what I was looking for in the post. One woman sent me pictures of her twin 1-year-olds and asked, did I have anything for them? One girl told me that she sent me a link to her TikTok, so she would love to do it to help grow her TikTok audience, which, you know what, I'm not hating because she understands the mission. It's an opportunity to grow your platform and to get in front of people. But I wasn't looking for female TikTokers. I was looking for big swole meatheads to play bouncers or private security for an evil Bitcoin billionaire or cops. So anyway, it was funny, man, because some people were like, "Bro, you ain't even swole." But do I have to look like 1980s Arnold Schwarzenegger to make a post looking for swole guys to play a role? I wasn't aware that only professional bodybuilders were allowed to determine what swole is or isn't. Again, insecurities shining through. If you're that worried about it, and man, if I had $1 for every DM I got that said, "I ain't swole, but I'm strong." Well, we're not doing a strongman competition. We're doing a movie that needs big badass looking dudes. Anyway, rant over. Just wanted to get that off my chest this morning. The Guns and Gear text line is 769-241-1944. The Mazda Jackson phone line, 601-879-0002. Unknown texter. I find it a compliment when somebody calls me Big Swole. I'm so glad you said that. Twice in the last week, in my comments on their videos or posts or whatever, somebody's accused me of being on steroids. Hell yeah. Look, there is not a greater compliment you can pay a guy that's on the front end of his workout journey, that he's starting to see some muscles pop up, starting to get a little swole, than to accuse him of being on steroids. As a matter of fact, you can be too. Just text Clay to 601-800-5130, and let's get you that free testosterone screening today. We'll be right back. This is the Clay Edwards Show on 103.9 FM WYAB. It's a 3-hour spectacular today. We'll have Andrew Gosser here in the studio in the 9 to 10 hour with me. And let's have a good time today, man. It's Monday. It's Monday Fun Day. It's Motivation Monday. My real grinders out there, my hustlers, my ballers. Y'all ain't upset it's Monday. You're glad the weekend's over. It's back to making that cash register ring. Don't go nowhere. Rip the knob off. We'll be right back. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show here this morning on 103.9 FM WYAB. We're live in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios, where there's always a free testosterone test waiting for you. Hey, maybe you don't need testosterone. You do. You need testosterone. Maybe you need to lose some weight. Maybe just like, look, Clay, yes, I do want to lose some weights at some point, but right now my number one goal is losing some weight. They got the compound of semaglutide. You may not have a clue what that is, but it's the GLP-1s. So it's your Wegovy, it's your brain fart here, generic, anyway, the weight loss shot. I'm just drawing a blank. I've said it a million times a day. Anyhow, it's the shot that helps you lose the weight. And you can save a ton of money by going to Men's Health or Women's Wellness and getting it instead of getting it online from one of these, online pharmacies and stuff. And I'm going to tell you, you really want to take that stuff under the consultation of a doctor or a nurse practitioner, a medical professional that's helping you track everything, any side effects you could be having, all of that. I've always been real cautious about getting any kind of pharmaceuticals online. Ozempic is the word I was looking for. Thank you, folks in the live chat. Ozempic. Yeah, generic Ozempic. That stuff can cost like $1,000 to $1,200 a month. I don't want to get into quoting price, over there at Men's Health, but we'll just say it's 25% of that, 30% of that ish. So save a ton of money for pretty much the same medicine, and you get to do it under the guide of a medical professional, a team over there that's going to be able to help you out along the way with any questions, concerns, all of that. You check in with them monthly. You get everything from them. You don't have to go to a pharmaceutical to get it because it's already a pharmacy to get it. You get it from them. And local. Text Clay, 601-800-5130 is going to ask you, do you need testosterone or weight loss? And I think both is an option. I highly recommend both. I do. Take it, man. Check it out. And guys, look, man, they do so much more than just that. You need some Viagra? They got that. They're my general physician over there too. I want to say it's like $150 a month, or less than $200 a month. And they're your general physician. For you guys out there that just have emergency insurance or no insurance at all, this is a great supplement to that, where you can get all your normal stuff covered. If you're on some kind of medication, monthly medications you take, daily medications, they can write all that for you. I think as long as it's not like a narcotic, like your hardcore pain pills or something like that. But, man, you get sick. I would get sick and go to MEA or one of those type places, and it would be $300. Even with my quote-unquote good insurance, it would be like $300 to get out of there if I had a sinus infection. You get the 3 shots, the steroid shot, the Rocephin, and sometimes like a B12 or something like that along with it. They get the Decatron, the Rocephin. I want to say there's a 3rd shot that goes with that too. But by the time you do that and you take they give you some kind of flu test or COVID test or whatever, you were walking out of there spending north of $250 for one visit. Like, man, I can't keep doing this. So that membership deal out there, and that's not what they pay me to promote. They pay me to promote the testosterone, but I am a proud user of them as my general physician as well. And I'm going to tell you, it's not like going to a doctor's office. It's way more laid back. Anyway, just throwing that out there. Check them out, menshealthms.com. All right, we ran over big time in that first segment. But breaking rules when necessary, right? The Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. Let's read a couple texts here real quick. Shout out to my boy Bobo Powell. Bobo Thomas is swole. Like, that's the thing. Guys who are actually swole, like legitimately, and work out and take care of themselves, they didn't get offended by the word swole. You know what I mean? Like, they know. Just like I know I'm nowhere near swole like I want to be. I mean, I got a little size on me. I'm a big old boy. But there's a difference in being a big old boy and having boulders on your shoulders, having 24-inch pythons there's a difference. And I ain't there yet. My boy Bobo is. My boy Bo Lucky, the chief of the Capitol Police, he's swole. There's guys that are swole, and you know it when you see it. What do they say, like the definition of porn? I don't know what the definition is, but you know it when you see it. Swole is the same thing. Bubba, he had texted in, and but there's always the guy that's got a keg on their belly, a party ball, that wears their shirts a little too tight, and they think they're swole. Anyway, it's funny. It's funny. The hyper emotional men out there. But it explains why everybody got so mad. Wes Shivers. Somebody just texted in and said Wes Shivers. Wes Shivers is swole. I'm like, you know it when you see it. Let's read a few more texts here. Then I'm going to save the collar, the LSU story for a minute here. Let's see here. I'll read a few of your texts. I always ask you guys to text, and then I don't do it, and then I don't read them. I think we're caught up on text. So let's do this. Let's take our break, come back, have a full segment about the tragedy of KYREN LACEY. I'm going to tell you guys, nobody supports law enforcement more loudly and proudly than Clay Edwards. Nobody's a bigger advocate and cheerleader. Some would even say a bootlicker for our law enforcement friends and our prosecutors out there that are doing that 99% of the time do a great job. If what has come out about KYREN LACEY is true, and this evidence is substantiated, and it appears that it is, I mean, I saw it with my own eyes. The wreck happened, and then he comes around it after a drive. He's a football field away from the wreck when it happened, and somehow he got blamed for it. We're going to dive deep into it. Why was it so easy to believe that a young black guy in a Charger could have caused this wreck? We're going to really peel the onion back. But the young man lost his life. He unalived himself from the pressure of it all, lost his scholarship, I don't know that scholarship. He was going to go to the NFL, didn't get drafted because of this. And he ended up killing himself. Just worst case scenario. Worst case scenario. We're going to talk about it all. Let's take a break. I want to get your guys' thoughts and opinions on it. And I issued a public apology because I did make one of my FAFO videos about it when it happened. And this one kicked me in the nuts. It did. It's the first time that I felt bad about something I've done. First time I've publicly apologized, like legitimately apologized for making a FAFO video since I've done this. All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back on WYAB. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. Real quick, the segment brought to you by our friends at the Rankin County Bucking Bronc Bash. That's right, Bucking Bronc Bash is this Sunday. Sunday. I've been waiting all week to get to the Sunday. Man, it's going to be a great time out there. It benefits the Leesburg Volunteer Fire Department. Let me get the address here for you real quick. I got it right here. You ain't got to wait. Look, mark the calendars, 2 p.m. this Sunday. The rodeo benefits the Leesburg Volunteer Fire Department and the ERCO. That's the Ever Reaching Community Outreach Group. It's Sunday, 2 p.m. at 122 Justin Drive in Pillahatchee. So excited. Going to be a banger of a good time. There's going to be bull riding, buck and bronc. I don't know if there'll be bull riding, but buck and bronc. So, well, anyway, I have all the details. It's going to be a grand old time. It's a big annual event. My boys out there really, really do it up big. There's going to be food trucks, family fun. Get the kids out there. So obviously it's going to be safe. It's in Pillahatchee. Ain't going to be no shenanigans in Pillahatchee. So mark the calendar. It's cheap to get in. You ain't going to be paying much. So get out there and enjoy it this Sunday, 2 p.m. It's the Rankin County Bucking Bronc Bash. I tell you, say that too fast, you may that bucking may turn into a accidentally get an F put in front of it, but that'll be all right. Just not on the radio. Don't meet me there. Beat me there. Let's see here. KYREN LACEY, man. This is I titled the show today, "The Ballad of KYREN LACEY," because it really is. It's a sad, sad story. So here's what I got here. Now I'm going to read y'all what I wrote because I think this is the most authentic way to do this. This is what I put on my social media. But I guess first, though, let me say this. In a newly released video, a car being driven by former LSU wide receiver KYREN LACEY can be seen nearly 100 yards behind a fatal crash that killed a 78-year-old man last December. LACEY's car is seen on the video approaching and driving around the deadly accident. LACEY was later charged with negligent homicide, felony hit and run, and reckless operation of a vehicle in the case. LACEY committed suicide 1 day before a grand jury hearing in his case. All right, so you kind of understand the gravity of this, right? Well, before he killed himself, right after he got arrested, and it looked like he had single-handedly threw his entire future away as a multimillionaire, generational wealth type situation, going to take his family's situation. You insert a millionaire into this situation, it's generational wealth. It changes everything. I was like, well, what an idiot. What an idiot. If there was ever a FAFO champion, this guy. And never thought much else of it. I'll be honest, I didn't even know he committed suicide until I read this. I never heard about it. Never heard nothing else about it. Shame on me there. But so here's what I put this. I found out when I woke up Saturday morning about this. Somebody had gone and found my video and tagged me and said, "What do you think about this now?" So I had to go see what they were talking about. And this is what I saw. And then I peeled the onion back a little further. I wasn't 100% true if it was just internet stuff. And it still hasn't made the national media, really, like the sports media stuff. Like ESPN wasn't on it. Outkick wasn't on it at the time. Maybe they are now. I don't know. But so anyway, this was just raw, in the moment, what I thought about it. And here's what I said. I said, I've never apologized for making a FAFO video, but also never imagined that in this day and age with cameras everywhere, that people could so blatantly lie about a situation like KYREN LACEY's. I saw this yesterday, and to be honest, I thought it was just typical internet BS. And at the time when I wrote this, I said, I still can't find a legitimate news source reporting this as fact beyond a few quasi-legitimate sports websites like On3, Yahoo, or Sports Illustrated. But it's not going away. If it turns out to be true, I sincerely apologize to the family, friends, and teammates for blindly believing the initial accusations and eventual charges from the Louisiana Highway Patrol and the DA there in whatever parish has happened in. And I just said, if you're not familiar with the details, I'll post them in the paragraph below. That's what I just read to y'all. I said, I've never made a video on random accusations. I always use credible news sources or direct law enforcement press releases so I don't falsely accuse, mock, or meme an innocent person, and to avoid needing to apologize or make posts like this. Also, I was not aware that the young man had taken his own life before the trial was to begin until I saw this. The whole thing is disgusting and tragic, regardless of what the final outcome is. But if the story turns out to be true, then whoever presented the original evidence as fact that led to the charges that led to his death should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, and I stand by that. This is absolutely disgusting. I don't know how, and it kind of goes back to the beginning of what I said. How in this day and age, with these cameras everywhere, with all the evidence that we have, how did it even get to this point? And then they had the video evidence showing that the young man was not involved. Now, you could say, well, he just saw a bad wreck and just drove around it and didn't stop. What was he going to do? I mean, I've seen wrecks and not stopped. I mean, other cars were already there. I wasn't going to bring anything to the situation, just be in the way. Film it. You know, I'm not a medical professional. I mean, I know not to take COVID vaccines, but I know face masks don't work, but I'm not a medical professional. You know, so I'm not going to fault the young man for driving around. I mean, other cars were already stopped. But, you know, I did say this, and I'll stand by this. It says a lot about the culture and kind of what people think, you know, stereotypes are earned, not given, as we like to say here on the show. You see a young black man in a dressed up Charger, and there's a wreck in the vicinity. You know, easy to believe that they could have been involved based on what we see out there on the roads every day. So when people made these accusations, yeah, it was easy to believe that he could have been involved. Now, still don't know. You know, maybe they had some confirmation that he was or wasn't speeding. Two things can be right at the same time. He could have still been driving like an ass, independently of this accident happening. I'm not saying he was. I'm just saying he could have been. But I saw a video from somewhere in that vicinity, maybe a building or something, a business, that had the wreck happened, and then in however many seconds it was later, he passes around, clearly showing that he was not the cause of the accident. And whether he was driving 120 miles an hour or 20 miles an hour, he was behind this when it happened and couldn't have caused it to happen. The young man took his life. I guess the stress of it all caused him to take his life. So I'm having a little bit of my headphones keep cutting in and out on me here. Fix this real quick. All right. So, very tragic. Let's see what your comments say here. I'd like to get y'all's opinion on this. The Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. The Mazda of Jackson phone line is 601-879-0002. Let's see here. Stephen Alexander, watching on Facebook, says, I read he was passing someone and caused the wreck. No clue of the facts. Yeah, look, and he may have been passed. I said two things can be right at one time, right? But he did not cause this wreck from the video I saw. Steven says, sad for sure. Barbershop Bob says, if his car had no damage, how could he be charged with any crime? Well, you can cause a wreck and not have any damage on your car. You can cause a wreck and not be involved in the wreck. I mean, that happens all the time. Drive 220 in the mornings. I've had several of these idiots try to kill me with their cars, and theirs wouldn't have had any damage on it. We got to take a break. We'll be right back. Again, to the Clay Edwards Show here for about 20 seconds as we get ready to go to our top of the hour news break. I was just reminded it is a 3-hour spectacular today. Andrew Gosser is out of the country. I was thinking Andrew was going to be here for hour 3 with me. I forgot about that. But either way, you got 3 hours of me. Don't go anywhere. 2 more to go. Only 7 minutes of break till we get there. Be right back. Boom goes the dynamite. It's hour 2 of the most incendiary show on the RADIO. This is the Clay Edwards Show, and I'm, of course, Clay Edwards here on 103.9 FM, streaming worldwide and stunning HD at SaveJXN on Facebook, YouTube, and X. And then we're over on Rumble, the free speech platform, at Clay Edwards Show. Easy to find. Easy to find. Oh, let's see here. Chris Hinkle is filling in for Andrew Gassa. I forgot Andrew is in Barcelona, I think is what he said. Streaming the Clay Edwards Show there. Enjoy that trip, my friend. The WYAB folks are going to be global and worldwide here, man. Let's see here. Sean is going to be in England and Rome and all of that stuff next month or later this month, something like that. That's going to be cool. Really neat, man. Go backpacking across Europe. Hopefully he don't bring anything back. He can't wash off. They're kind of weird over there. They don't brush their teeth or something there. They got people from Europe got some weird teeth. You ever notice that? Weird teeth. I mean, surely they brush their teeth now, don't they? Anyway, I brush his minds. All right, man. So the KYREN LACEY stuff, that's tragic. I don't have a whole lot more to say about it. Let's read some of your comments here. It's just the fact that can happen in this day and age is wild. And then the kid kills himself just before the grand jury. It wasn't even like a sentencing or anything. Because this could have exonerated him and he would have been available to go into the draft. That's why suicide is never the answer. If you're listening out there this morning, I think that's the most valuable lesson from this, is that suicide is never the answer. It's a short-term solution to a long-term problem. And it's not even a solution. It's just terrible. Like, man, look, I've been through enough in life. I could tell you, no matter how bad it is today, what you want to try to do is project yourself a year down the road. If you just try to project yourself a year down the road, and hopefully you can get on the other side of it. Now, somebody just texted in and said that he was, let me read this right here. Said he was running from police on another issue. Think he pulled a gun on family, shot himself while being chased. Ooh, that's strong. That's strong. Well, I need to dive into all that. But I'm just, it's like compounding interest. It just gets worse and worse and worse, doesn't it? I mean, look, I know we're not supposed to talk bad, talk ill of the dead. But he was obviously, if that's the case, involved in some culture rot stuff. But again, suicide's still not the option. Got to deal with it all. But let's say, for example, that he was dealing with some stuff, running from the police on something else. Once you lose your NFL contract, your potential to go to the NFL, once you think you're going to prison, once you think you've lost it all, it puts you in a bad state of mind. It's a slippery slope, so to say. And maybe he just was like, screw it. I'm going all in. I'm gonna get mine either way. I don't know. Hard to say. But yeah, you never know what somebody's going through. Somebody just text that in. But suicide, no matter how depressed you are today, I want to try to keep this somewhat positive here on a Motivational Monday. No matter where you're at, if you can just try to project yourself a year down the road and try to keep yourself busy, whether it's working out, working, focus, just anytime the depression or whatever it is pulling you down, anytime that hits, find an outlet. Find some kind of outlet that can bury that pain, that can make you take your mind off of whatever it is that's dragging you down, whatever the stress is. Maybe it's hitting the floor and doing 20 push-ups. I don't know. For me, when I was my most depressed and downtrodden, I'd go running, or I would hit the weights. I mean, sometimes 2-3 times a day, and would just wear myself out. I put my earbuds in, listen to podcasts, music, whatever. And that helped me. You just try to get a year down the road. Every day hurts a little less. Of course, now I haven't had a potential prison sentence hanging over my head like that. But still, I understand being in a dark place. I'm kind of looking at some text here. All right, so somebody just sent me a link here. This from U.S. Magazine. It says, new shocking details emerge in death of former LSU wide receiver KYREN LACEY. I'm not going to read all of this. I'm just going to see if there's anything kind of relevant here in the top a little bit. This is live radio, so y'all bear with me. It says, the attorney for former LSU wide receiver of KYREN LACEY revealed new details about the young man's death, shining a new light on the tragic situation. LACEY, 24, was accused of being involved in a fatal accident. We all understand that. LACEY's attorney, Matt Ory, and I did watch this interview. You can find it at HTV10. You just need to Google it, HTV10, KYREN LACEY, and it should come up if y'all want to watch. It's about 45 minutes. He did the interview Friday, and that new evidence that seems to contradict the alleged circumstances of the December crash. Ory presented security footage from a nearby gas station that shows LACEY's car about 70 yards behind. It was actually right at 100 yards behind the vehicle that were involved in the accident. At the time of the accident, authorities believe LACEY caused the fatal crash before fleeing the scene, saying LACEY was illegally passing the other vehicles, causing another car to take evasive action to avoid impact with LACEY's vehicle and crash into Hall's. The man who died, last name was Hall, and crash into Hall's car. All these pop-up ads. It says KYREN LACEY did in fact pass 4 cars. There's no disputing that, Ory said in the interview. However, he was back in his lane of travel, 92.3 yards behind Hall at the time of impact. He's 72.6 yards behind the vehicle at the time of impact. That is not how the story was ever painted, ever. So he appears to have been reckless driving. So let me try to paint a picture here. Maybe, like I look in my rearview mirror a lot when I'm driving. You got to around Jackson. Anywhere like near 220, 55, the way these idiots in these Chargers and Nissan Altimas drive around here, you got to be an offensive and defensive driver. You have to be, or you'll end up dead. So, for example, I may be getting ready to change lanes. Well, I'm trying to make sure that some a-hole in a Charger, a Challenger, you know, the typical stuff these culture right idiots drive, isn't coming up 120, 130 miles an hour, zigzagging through traffic. And I see it every day out here. So before people say, oh, Clay, you're just blowing something out of proportion. No, I'm not. I see it all the time. They thread the needle and act like nobody else could possibly change lanes or do anything. Well, it's like these people who ride motorcycles. And I know the motorcycle crowd gets so mad at me every time I do this. You know, they'll come flying by 120, 130 miles an hour. And you may be changing lanes. There's no way to anticipate somebody coming by you that fast. I mean, you may look in your mirror, all clear, check your other mirror, change lanes, and bop. So I say all that to say, somebody could have seen this nonsense going on behind them, freaked out, overcalculated, overreacted, and caused the wreck. It still could have been his fault. I'm changing my mind in live time here as I'm doing this. I'm playing this scenario in my head. Let's continue reading. In April, months after the original accident, LACEY was involved in a police chase in Houston that lasted several miles and resulted in another crash. The Harris County Sheriff's Office said LACEY refused to stop for an officer and was chased. When authorities reached his vehicle after the crash, it was revealed that LACEY had shot himself. His death came one day before he was scheduled to appear in front of a grand jury in Houston on charges of negligent homicide, felony hit and run, and reckless operation of a vehicle in connection with the incident in December. Okay, so I thought that the wreck happened in Louisiana. I guess I got that completely wrong. That happened in Houston also? So the kid must be from Houston and play football at LSU. I don't know why I thought that happened in Louisiana. The former LSU defensive end, Savion Jones, who played with LACEY in college before he was drafted by the Denver Broncos last year, reacted to the latest development on social media. Quote, They slander your name, your character, and painted you as the bad guy, Jones wrote on X. But we, your family, teammates, and friends, know the real you. LLK2. Soon after Lacey's death, his father, Kenny Lacey, spoke about the importance of parents keeping up with the mental health of young adults. Yeah, now we could go on and on. You know, we've been talking a lot about that on this show, about the mental health of young adults, young men. It's at its lowest in my lifetime, or at its worst, however you want to phrase that. Young men's mental health is an absolute train wreck right now. Look, I'm trying to reserve a little bit of judgment here because I want to take into account that the guy was in a bad place, a bad state of mind when this second incident happened that led to him killing himself. And he's in a bad state of mind over facing life in prison for something he may or may not have caused. Bad situation altogether. I'm working through this in my head here in live time, so y'all bear with me for a second. Because there's a part of me, part of me feels bad for a kid killing himself, no matter what. Regardless of the circumstances. You know, you feel bad that somebody thinks that that's the only way out. But then you sit there and think, well, you know, everything that happens to us is our fault. I've always had to tell myself that, because if you go through life harboring hostility at other people for a situation you have found yourself in, and you think it's somebody else's fault, you will let them eat up so much real estate in your brain, in your heart, in your time frame, that it ain't worth it. You just have to find a way to say it's your fault. If a girl breaks up with you, this is on the low end of the scale here. If a girl breaks up with you, you need to ask yourself, what did you do? If she cheated on you, what did you do? How can you make the situation better so it doesn't happen again? If you get rear-ended sitting at a red light, ask yourself, what could you have avoided that morning that caught you at that red light? Were you running 5 minutes late? Somebody rips you off. I should have done my homework better about who I went into business with. No matter what, you got to find a way to put it on you instead of harbor hostility of others. I was renting a house from an old friend of mine one time. Now, we used to do some drugs together and stuff, and it was a rather toxic friendship as far as that goes. But I rented a house from this guy. And I moved out, not under the best of terms. It was towards the end of my addiction stuff, so it was kind of ugly. Hadn't talked to this fella in a couple years. He's done moved in this house at this point. And he has gotten addicted to pain pills at this point in time. Well, he is getting pain pills mailed to his house in my name. Well, he gets caught. Keep in mind, I hadn't talked to this guy in a couple years. I get a phone call. Say, hey, man, you got a package here. I'm like, I ain't got a package there. I ain't ordered nothing. And he was really aggressive. So I got pissed off, and I rode out there ready to fight this dude. To tell you the state of mind I was in. I was sober. Still ain't no punk. You're only going to talk to me a certain way. So I go out there. We about to fight in his driveway. I've been out at a job interview at Brown Bottling at Pepsi. And I had to come back for a second interview. Like with them, you had to, this was in 2011. With them, you do your interview, and then you go you don't do that. They put you on they put you with somebody, at least at the time, they put you with somebody to go work to see if you could even do the physical part of the job. Why, I'd hit rock bottom. Just thinking about this now that I was going to go work for damn near minimum wage at Pepsi, stacking displays at a grocery store, but hey, you do what you got to do. To go from owning nightclubs to trying to work for Pepsi. And of course, I passed the physical part. Then I go out here to get in a fight with this guy. I'm wearing a suit. I didn't even have a vehicle at the time. I was having to use my dad's truck. I go out here to go whoop this guy's ass that's done disrespecting me on the phone. I pull up, and it was like Delta Force rappelling out of helicopters. Man, I had more guns pointed at me. Law enforcement. The FedEx driver that day when he was getting them pills delivered was MBN. And that package had my name on it. But where he screwed up was he signed for it. So he knew what he was doing. But anyway, man, they had me all hemmed up there. I'm trying to explain to the cops that I ain't talked to this guy in over 2 years. Well, they were like, well, you got mail here with your name on it. I was like, man, it's junk mail. You ain't never not paid a bill. Luckily, I knew a couple of the guys there, and his story was so shoddy that it made it easy to believe that I had nothing to do with it. But I remember I had a gun in my truck, and I had my bottle. I was prescribed pain pills at the time because I have a bulged disc in my back. I could walk into any pain clinic in Mississippi right now and get a prescription for pain pills when they look at the MRI X-rays in my back, and they see that bulged disc bouncing off that nerve. I just choose not to take them. But I stayed angry at that guy for a long time because he tried to set me up. And he decided that his freedom was worth more than mine, even though I had nothing to do with this. That he's like, if I get caught, it's going to be on Clay. I'm just going to say Clay was getting these pills mailed to this house. So I stayed angry at that guy for a long time, and I still don't like him. So I'll never forgive him. But I finally said, Clay, that's your fault. Back to the whole point of this story. Clay, that's your fault. You should do a better job at picking your friends. You should have never been involved with that trash anyway. You roll with pigs, you're bound to get muddy. Isn't that the saying? Something to that extent. You play with hogs, you're bound to get dirty. I don't know. I'm not good at those little one-liners that some of y'all are, but I get it. I know what it meant. You roll with trash, you're trash. So when I accepted that what happened that day inevitably was my fault, it removed him living rent-free in my head. And circling back to the Pepsi part of the story, the police asked me, why do you have a gun? I was like, I live in Jackson. Why wouldn't I have a gun? They're like, you got a pill bottle of these very pills. I'm like, I have a bad back. It's got my name on it. It looked bad, but, it tells you, man, just how easy it would be to set somebody up and do that. I mean, I think back to that day a lot about how close I came to going to prison for something I didn't do, or at minimum getting drug out to Raymond Detention Center and having to go through court and prove I didn't do it. And that came real close to being a very expensive ordeal that could have left me with a felony, and I literally had nothing to do with it. But very well it could have just been my past catching up with me and karma coming home. So you just never know, man. You put dirt into this, you put trash in, you get trash out. But the Pepsi part of the story, I made it back in time to Pepsi that afternoon for the second part of my interview, where you sit across the table from the managers or whatever, the way they do their interviews. And I passed that interview with flying colors. They put you through like some different scenarios and stuff, like how to overcome objections when you're talking with like store managers and this, that, and the other. And then I ended up not getting the job because I had a speeding ticket on my record that was showing up twice. Same ticket showing up twice. And I could not get that fixed. Now, I ain't had knock on wood, I ain't had a speeding ticket in 12 years. Not a moving violation of any sort. But not getting that job opened up the doors to get into the car business. And that was the last case scenario, or worst case scenario. I did not want to go sell cars. But because we have blown over so big here, the next segment's going to be like 2 minutes. But not getting that job opened up the car business, which ended up being the best thing to ever happen to me, which eventually led to this. So you just never know. But do not let, going back to the KYREN LACEY part of this, you got to, I don't even know how the hell we got here, to be honest with you. Somewhere along the way, I was just telling people the depression. That was it, depression. Don't blame it on other people. Find a way to blame it on yourself, and then you can control it. If you don't blame it on somebody else, you blame it on yourself. The one thing you have control over is yourself. You can fix you. You can't fix other people. I hope that made some sense for y'all out there. It did me. Well, I lived it. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. This segment brought to you by Watkins Construction and Roofing. Reach out to our guys today at WatkinsConstructionInc.com. Locally owned, locally operated, nearly 1,000 5-star reviews for those guys and their services there across all the different review platforms from Facebook to Google, Yelp, and others. Good folks, man. Whether you just need a spot fixed on your roof or you need an entire new roof, they're going to work with you and your insurance company every step of the way. You're going to have an assigned agent to your account. You're not even going to have to ask questions. Before you can think of them, they're answering them. They're just that good. They do this every day. They're not trying to sell you something you don't need. They're too big for that. They come out. They do a complimentary roof assessment. They're professional. They're all going to have matching clothes, vehicles wrapped with Watkins Construction and Roofing on it. You're not going to have a bunch of yeehaws running around and going door to door trying to sell you something out of their personal vehicles, looking all shoddy and unprofessional. They're not going to show up, with loud music, bumpity bumping, all that vulgar nonsense, for you to have to hear, for your neighbors to have to hear. They're not going to tear up your landscaping. They're going to do it right. They're going to be courteous. They're going to be professional. You're barely going to even know they're there other than the fact that you got a new roof or your roof is fixed. WatkinsConstructionInc.com. Watkins Construction and Roofing. All right, man, the Mazda Jackson phone line, 601-879-0002. 601-879-0002. Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. I wasn't planning on telling that story, but I do want to kind of button it up a little bit. That interview with Pepsi, that was wild. They were sitting across from me, and y'all know, my nerves were so shot. Because literally less than an hour before, I had to be back out there. I mean, man, my foot was shaking, from the knee down, just off the gas pedal. I had to set the cruise on the truck. So I went, because my nerves were shot, and I somehow went out there and aced the interview. I remember them asking, all right, let's just say you're down in Puckett or, in a rural area. And this was at the time when they had just come up with that energy drink Amped. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. had they were sponsoring Dale Jr. at the time with the Mountain Dew car and Amped Energy and all that. And they were like, man, and let's just say you were down in the sticks and we were needing to get a new display put up, and they picked that Amped thing, that drink. Well, at the time, I'm a big NASCAR guy, big Dale Jr. fan. I'm like, well, here's what I would do. And I went into this whole spiel about, look, we're going to build this Amped thing. We'll make it look like a NASCAR. And we're going to get a big Dale Jr. cut out because we're out here in rural Mississippi. There should be some Dale Jr. fans out here. And I sold them on it like that, like I was talking to the store manager, and I was using the Dale Jr. Being relatable to the rednecks in rural Mississippi, because I am a redneck. I'm not from rural Mississippi, but some would argue that all of Mississippi's rural. And I'm a Dale Jr. fan. I knew that this is what would work if I walked in the store, but man, look at that. I need some of that. Dale Jr.'s on it. I need it. And that's what secured me the job until my driving record got sabotaged me. Again, your past coming back to haunt you. If I had never gotten if I had never been speeding to begin with, the first speeding ticket wouldn't have been on there, much less for it to be on there twice. But again, not getting that job led to me going to work at Great Angels Ford, which I built some great relationships there. You know, got my buddy Corey in the car business, my buddy Casey Ellis, and we met working there. And that's been a relationship that still is bearing fruit today. He's a sponsor here on this show. I've worked for him. So you just never know who you're going to meet along the way, why they're putting your path along the way. But yeah, but that guy, you know, I ain't going to say his name, but the guy rented that house from right there at Wendell Road. Yeah, I think him and his wife got arrested and ended up spending, you know, a little bit of time out there in Raymond. And, you know, I always just assumed they snitched on whoever they were getting those pills from, because I know they didn't go to jail for a long time. But let's be honest, Hinds County, maybe they got put on probation. I don't ever know what the outcome of that was. But again, Hinds County, but they were white, so I figured if, you know, anybody going to jail in Hinds County, it's definitely some white drug dealers. I didn't know they were drug dealers. I think they were just abusing the hell out of the pills. But anyway, neither here nor there. That is one person that I'll never forgive. But I still blame that on myself for even associating with that kind of trash. And hey, maybe he feels the same way about me. You know, I will say this. It was that was one of those deals that fractured our friendship group. Because there were some people who just thought that, hell, he would never do that. He would never do that. I mean, I remember one guy goes, Clay, why were you getting those pills shipped to his house? I hadn't seen this man in 2 years. How was I getting pills shipped to his house? What was I doing? Getting them shipped there, him signing for them, then me sneaking up and stealing the box. It sounds so asinine to even think that some people believed it, but it says a lot about where I was in my life and where I had been in my life that I made it, that my actions prior to that made it a believable story. Circling back to the KYREN LACEY thing. Young black guy in a Dodge Charger driving recklessly is a very easily believable story. Stereotypes are earned, not given. I try to do all I can to break stereotypes. So I had to reset the screen with the live chats. So I lost all the previous live chats, but I see Miss Angela, Mike Magazine. Hoping everybody's having a good day today. Yep, Miss Angela, thank you. You as well. You as well. Let's check out the Guns and Gear text line. Let's see here. Pull that back up. And we got to take a quick break too, unfortunately, because I ran over 15 minutes in that last segment there. Unknown texter says, sometimes if you stay at a bad wreck, you run the risk of being hit yourself. That's true. You know, that young lady got killed over here on 220. She had that wreck, and then she was outside the vehicle, and somebody else come up and hit her and killed her. Terrible situation. We covered that pretty in depth here and how WLBT and all of them got that wrong about what happened there. He also says, I wonder if he was chasing the guy and maybe that caused the wreck. I don't think so. This was like an older man. I don't think there was a chase going on. He also says you never know what somebody's going through. Todd sent this in. Says, yes, well, the question was KYREN LACEY being chased by the police? Yeah, which we covered that. Appreciate that, Todd. Donna adds in, this is circling back to I was doing that live read about the rodeo in Pillahatchee. She says, Mayor Carl Van Horn in Pillahatchee will make sure everyone is safe, and it's a huge success. Great mayor. I've heard great things about Mayor Van Horn. All right, let's take this other break. Let's catch up on our schedule. We got a whole nother hour to go today, guys. I'm here till 10 o'clock, and then I'm going to film a movie. I'll be famous the next time I'm on this radio show. Well, not next time, but the groundwork, the foundation will be laid to be the most famous extra ever in a movie by the name of Clay Edwards. I'm kidding. We'll be right back. I do want to get into some other stuff. My favorite law enforcement officer in America that fella down there in Florida, Judd Grady, I think is his name. Grady Judd, Sheriff Grady Judd down in Florida is going after the transgenders. And it's hilarious. I want to cover that. And then Chicago police were ordered to not assist ICE when their vehicle got surrounded by throngs of violent Democrats. Is America getting close to a civil war? Are Democrat states starting to remind y'all of Confederate states that refused to abolish slavery? Are Democrats doing the same thing with immigration? Are we approaching civil war? Or at minimum, a national divorce? Things are escalating quick. I think we're there. I think we're on the eve, on the precipice. I love using words that I don't actually know if they're the right word. I just think I've heard other people say these words and these type things. Precipice. Are we on the precipice of a night of the long knives? A bleeding Kansas? Maybe. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Come back into the show here live on WYAB. This segment brought to you by our friends out at Cypress Point Resort. Guys, I went out to Cypress Point Saturday night just to get out of the house for a little bit. Well, I'd been out of the house all day, but decided to stay out of it for a little while. And after a day out at the PGA tournament there at the Country Club of Jackson, great time there. I appreciate those guys. The Sanderson Farms Championship. Looks like it's probably going to be the last year of that if they can't rope in a new sponsor. A big deal there they're going to lose here in the city. So, hey, C-Spire. Come on, guys. What are you doing? Just screaming for you guys to step up. If you're not going to sponsor the Clay Edwards Show, you could at least sponsor and keep the golf tournament here. Anyway, went out there, had a good time, and ended my evening out at Cypress Point at Cameron's Garage there. But what I noticed was there were a lot of people there for the spooky safari thing that they're doing on Friday and Saturday nights. Kristen and Josh, some friends of mine, kind of hit up the spooky part of it, the haunted trail and all that good stuff. If you're looking for something that's family friendly, guys, if you're looking to take your girl out and let her get a little scared where she got to grab a hold of your swole arms, because I know you're swole. I know you're swole. This is it. Or, hey, let's be honest. Most of the guys around here probably have to grab their girl's arm because they get scared. Save me, boo. Save me. Like the broke guy that stands behind his girl at the checkout with his arms wrapped around her when she's paying for something. Those guys, the white guys that think they're black, they're hilarious to me. They're hilarious. They all look like riffraff. Anyway, check that out. That's fun. You can find out all the details there at Cypress Point Resort on Facebook. And as always, you can hit up the Blue Plate specials every day. I think today's is country fried steak. Did I see that right? Cypress Point Resort. I think it's country fried steak. Y'all know I got a soft spot for that old country fried steak. I've been wanting to try theirs too. It looks really good. Yeah. All right, today's is chicken fried steak, mashed potatoes and green beans. And tomorrow is the famous ribeye steak sandwich that I've been raving so much about. Wednesday, they got the patty melt with fries. Thursday, you got the brisket sandwich. I bet that's good. Then Friday, it's the ribeye steak sandwich again. And you can check out all the live entertainment and more. And don't forget, coming up, man, Spank the Monkey, the legendary hard rock cover band that rocked the dock on so many legendary nights, is going to be live out there for a big breast cancer fundraiser for Buck Allman. He's participating in that this year. So he's doing a big fundraiser there at Cypress Point, and I'm really excited. I'm going to try to weasel my way into being a part of it. If nothing else, just promoting it here on the show. Super excited. That's going to be, looks like October 25th. So I'm super excited to see Spank the Monkey for what I believe is the first time ever in Rankin County. I don't know where else they would have played at. So that's going to be fun. A little bit of a unofficial dock reunion of sorts. And we're getting old, man. I mean, I was kind of young going to the dock anyway. So we're getting old. We ain't got too many dock reunions left in us. Maybe we get DeWitt to come out, hang out with us. Maybe Renee will come out and hang out. I know they're not married anymore, but I mean, whatever. They're iconic, you know, when you think about the bar history in Jackson. Good folks, man. Always like both of them. Glad seeing them happy and doing their own thing. But good times. I kind of had to ramble here, man. We didn't have but like 2 minutes to fill here. But we got a whole nother hour this morning. And I want to get into this Civil War stuff. I want to get into Sheriff Judd Grady, pimp slapping the transgenders, the transgender prostitutes down in Florida. You know, the transgender people and the LGBTQ, the rainbow supremacists, they keep telling us that there's a genocide of transgenders going on, that people are they're just killing trannies everywhere for no reason. No, there's a reason. But they want you to think, though, as it's MAGA hat wearing white conservatives that are out here just randomly killing trannies at will. No, that ain't the reason. That ain't the reason these trannies are getting killed. You know what the reason is. You know, I know, he knows, she know, everybody know why these trannies are getting genocided. It's because, well, this is what we call a tease. We'll tell you when we come back. Don't go anywhere. This is the Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. We've got about a minute here, so I will end my tease. The transgenders are being genocided because they're lying about being women and the prostitutes. And they're getting men to, do things with them. We'll just say that. And then the men are finding out that they's men's too. And their reaction is shooting them. And it's usually black men. It's usually black on black crime that we're talking about him. All right, I'll see y'all in 7 minutes. We got a whole nother hour. Boom goes the dynamite. It's hour 3 of the most incendiary show on the RADIO. Clay Can Spell Radio. Man, it's a rainy, stormy Monday, Mississippi morning here in central Mississippi. Looking out the windows here from the plush, super high-tech, super modern studios of WYAB, overlooking the metropolis known as Flora, Mississippi, and Highway 49, the super interstate that comes through here. I love it out here, man. I love downtown Brandon. I can't personally see living anywhere else, but if I did, I could definitely see living in Flora, Mississippi. It's so funny as you get a little older. The things you used to not think you wanted to be around or do or live is the thing that you actually crave the most. Like when I was younger, I mean, even up to just a few years ago, like I felt like I wanted to live in the middle of everything. I wanted to be in the thick of it all. Like North Jackson, downtown, stuff, place like that, around a bunch of stuff. Well, I never really wanted to live in like downtown Jackson. I did, but I never wanted to. Anyway, but Florida, Mississippi, man, rural, away from people, away from Democrats especially. I just love it. I love it. Like less is more. I don't mind having to drive a little bit to get what I need now. I drive to Florida back and forth every day to do a radio show. You think I care if I got to drive a little bit to do something? I absolutely do not. That was the thing about like growing up out in Byram. We always had to drive 30, 45 minutes, to North Jackson at minimum to do anything. I've never minded having to drive. Like living in downtown Brandon is the first time in my life I've lived somewhere and everything was just in a stone's throw. Or not just downtown, but in Brandon in general. When I was in Cross Gates or now in downtown Brandon. I mean, there's literally a grocery store in my backyard, Ramey's. Or I prefer Allen's. I just like Allen's grocery store. And then I go down to Fairway Foods in Pillahatchee to get my meat. And they're just so dang nice down there. I mean, just salt of the earth people. You know, I think I need an effort getting one of these grocery stores that I always give these free plugs to. I think we need an official grocery store of the Clay Edwards Show. I think the folks at Allen's. I'm saying them because I happen to know them. One of my buddies married into that family. Maybe I need to try to make that happen. You know, I went to go get some sausage. You know, they got the best like boutique sausage, custom made. There's Country Pleasing as far as like your mass produced store stuff. Love Country Pleasing. Shout out to the folks over there, man. Love those guys. And then there's like small batch stuff. You know, I could get small batch bourbon. The folks over at Allen's make their own sausage, or they do it at Vans, I think. Anyway, just like they make their deer sausage, but they put pork in it instead of deer. And I love it so much. They're pineapple, pepper jack, and jalapeno, or cheddar and jalapeno, whatever. And I went the other day to get some to cook on my new smoker, my new pellet grill I got. And I'll be dang if they're building a new smokehouse and they don't have any right now. And it's going to be like later this month, early next month before they have their custom sausage back. So I got some of that Kaneka. Is that what it's called? Kaneka? A little small sausage. It's really good too. They didn't have any Country Pleasing in there. Roger, if you're listening, maybe a good time to try to get some Country Pleasing in Allen's. They are currently down a bunch of sausage, and they need some. But, man, I love Allen's grocery store. Speaking of Country Pleasing, I don't know if I mentioned this on the show or not, but, you know, so when I do the live reads for a couple of our restaurants that sell red beans and rice, I always mention that it's Country Pleasing sausage because I think that means something. That's a Mississippi brand. You know, and I think that these restaurants supporting a fellow Mississippi brand is a really good deal. And I think that more people should do that. Just like I would love to get one of these big catfish farms here on the show. And because I think a lot of restaurants also advertise, they say, like we used to do Heartland at my restaurant. And I think that more locally owned businesses should support other locally owned or Mississippi-based businesses like Country Pleasing, like Heartland, or whoever the big, is it Cooper's? Is that the name of that big catfish farm? Anyway, the guys at Country Pleasing, because they listen to the show, man, they put me together like a cool cooler full of stuff. My buddy Roger brought it over, Mr. Henry. Shout out to Mr. Henry and the team over there at Country Pleasing. They put me together like a cooler full of meat. Some really awesome stuff from their butcher shop, like their custom stuff. It was like cream cheese stuffed pork chops. I mean, cream cheese and pork chops, shut up and take my money. And then I cooked these things yesterday. My daughter loved them. I did too. You know the pinwheels? And I'll post a picture of these on my Facebook here in just a minute. During the next commercial break, I'll post a picture of these on my Facebook. It's like pork chop spiral cut. And it's got cream cheese and cheddar cheese and just all this other stuff shoved into it. And you got to put it on some foil on the smoker or in the grill or in the air fryer would have been great too because all the cheese don't leak out. Man, I put those things on the smoker for about 20 minutes at 350, maybe a little longer. My goodness, they were fine. I mean fine. They sent me some fillets, one of the best steaks I've ever had, the best cut of filet I've ever had. What else did they send me? Well, it was the cream cut pork chops and thank you. The cream cheese stuffed pork chops. Anyway, it was just great stuff. I just wanted to say thank you to Country Pleasing. Really appreciate it. And that's how you get a plug on this show. Is give Clay good food. But anyhow, with all that said, it's hour 3 of the Clay Edwards Show. I want to pick up this story here real quick, and I'm going to read all your comments. I appreciate all the comments. Let's talk about Sheriff Judd Grady Judd, whatever his name is there, the Florida sheriff. I was talking about the transgender stuff. Now, if you're watching on the internet, you're going to get to see the pictures of this. If you're listening on the radio, I think it's still just as comical, but it would be better if you could go to the Save JXN Facebook or YouTube and watch along for just a minute, or X at Save JXN. This is really funny here. The caption is, Florida is not a real place. Let me see what it says. Make sure I got it right. It says Florida cannot be a real place. Let me pull it up on the screen here. I guess I could have done this during the break, but we're in free time here. Y'all getting this is a free hour of radio for you guys. I try to do minimal ad reads during the third hour, but hey, we still got to pay the bills. Still got to pay the bills. All right, let's pull up Sheriff Grady Judd. I always get his name wrong. Sorry, I got a bunch of tabs open. I'm just trying to get the right one here. All right, let me cut the mixer on. All right, here we go. This is talking about transgender prostitutes.
There's things in life you just can't believe. So you order up a prostitute, right? This prostitute lives with his mother, by the way. He's got a massive criminal history, a 21-year criminal history with 31 criminal charges. So you order up a prostitute, and that's what you think you're getting. Now, when you look at that, you go, wow, that's pretty rough, but, any port in a storm. And then the next morning when you wake up.
It's 2 a.m, Sunday morning, Saturday night, whatever you want to call it. Mid-2000s, pops around the corner. I'm painting this picture for the people listening on radio. It's a black prostitute. Like I said, I've seen worse. I ain't never done worse, but I'm just saying I've seen worse.
You find out this is who it really is.
Whoa! That's Tyrone.
Yeah. We call that Coyote Ugly. You see, he's laying on your arm in bed. You go, it was rough last night, but I've sobered up. I think I'll just chew my arm off and ease away so I don't disturb him or wake him up. All right, so you think you're buying this, you're getting this. He's got 31 criminal charges, and heck, if you're lucky, he doesn't kill you overnight.
He's got a bunch of these on here, by the way. If you'll just go to X and type in his name, Grady Judd, Sheriff Grady Judd, and transgender, you will find a plethora. There's another big word of the day, plethora of great stuff. As a matter of fact, since we got a little time to burn this morning, why don't we do just that? Why don't we do just that? Which one is this one here? Here's another one. This is great here. I'm glad I saved these to my...
You decide that you're going to hook...
Hold on. This is great. Make sure I got my screen right here so y'all are still seeing it. Okay, good. We're ready to go. Way quicker this time.
You decide that you're going to hook up with a woman. She comes in, and she's already...
A transgender, for those listening on the radio, the transgender version of this looks like Nicolas Cage in drag.
Uglier than a mud fence.
A mud fence.
Right? And then, as you start to engage, you find out, hey, this dudette is a dude, and look what he really looks like. Yeah, he looks like he should have been in a Scarface movie someplace. I don't know.
Still got lipstick.
This is what's happening. People think they're getting this, and many times they're getting a really bad guy. So this is the before and after, When you find them in the bar at night, you try to drink them pretty, and you wake up the next morning and you see this. Yeah, that's what we call Rolex ugly. Rolex ugly is you wake up the next morning and they're laying on your arm and your Rolex is there and you just chew your arm off and leave the Rolex. You just got to get out of there.
I love this guy. I always want to get arrested by him just so I can meet him. What do you mean there's another way I can meet him? I don't have to get arrested to do it? Let's pivot to something a little more serious while we got my X account pulled up here. Now, I was wanting to play this last. Oh, you know what? Let's do this. I got 53 seconds of a video here. The other one's like 5 minutes, and I want to get into a long rant. I will set it up. I didn't talk about this last week, but the young girl, Logan Federico, was killed by a black man that had been arrested 39 times and had 25 felonies. And her dad spoke at Democrats in Congress about his daughter's death and the fact that this guy had 25 felonies and was out on the streets. A lot like the the Ukrainian girl that was murdered on the bus by the black man that had no business not being in prison. We're going to save that for the top of the next segment because it's about 5 minutes long. And you know me, I'm going to give my point of view on a lot of it. I'm going to narrate it. But in the meantime, y'all know I never pass up an opportunity to not make Jasmine Crockett look bad, but just let her talk. You know, never forget, we're told to shut up, a black woman's talking. Shut up, listen, a black woman's talking. So we're going to honor that request there, demand, should we say. Here is Jasmine Crockett, a black woman, talking for 53 seconds.
Stop falling for the okie doke. Stop believing the lies that they are putting out there and the terrible racist tropes that they are constantly using to rile people up. It is time to recognize that while you thought the enemy was the immigrant, or you thought the enemy was the trans person, or you thought that the enemy was the black folk, or you thought the enemy were the women, when the reality is that the only person that is harming you right now, if you are struggling to make sure that you can pay your bills, if you're struggling to feed your family, if you are struggling to find a job, if you are struggling to keep your business open, or if you are a farmer, while we currently have record level bankruptcies by farmers, it is not any of those people on the list. It is the old white Nepo baby that is sitting in the White House that is causing all the destruction, pain, and problems that you are enduring.
Really, the Democrats have nothing to do with the situation we're in. It's all the Nepo baby in the White House. Is she talking about Hunter Biden? Is Hunter Biden still in the White House? You can't hate Jasmine Crockett enough. God, I'm talking to Jesus right now, y'all. God, thank you for putting me on radio and being on earth at the same time, in the same timeline as Jasmine Crockett. How did I get so lucky to be here with this black woman and have this platform at WYAB and Trump? You know, back in the 90s, if you did conservative talk radio, it had to be a little bit harder to get into this field. And, you had to work a little harder. You had to do a little more homework. The internet didn't really exist. Like, you actually had to, be good. There wasn't, there weren't like reaction shows, like news reaction shows. I could have never done this in the 90s. I'm not smart enough. But now, thanks to the internet, we have Jasmine Crockett and others like her. And you have me, who's not scared to give his opinion and tell you exactly why I think all these people are culture rot trash. And it all lined up at the same time. Boom. You got to love it. We'll be right back. And we're going to get into something way more serious. Don't go anywhere. That segment was brought to you by Lakeland Glass and Tint. Hit them up at lakelandglassandtint.com for your complimentary estimate, your free estimate. Let you know how much it's going to cost. A quote. It's not an estimate, it's a quote. For all your automotive window tinting needs. Your home, car, or business window tinting needs. Need to get your vehicle wrapped, turned into a rolling billboard, or maybe you just want to turn it into a big American flag flying down the interstate at 88 miles an hour. Ready to go back in time. They can do that too. They can wrap that sun gun, make it look like a big old American flag flying down the interstate. Or they can put your business logo on it, turn it into a rolling billboard. Maybe they can just change the color. Maybe you just need some ceramic coating. Maybe you need a little paint protection film. They can do it all. LakelandGlassandTint.com. Windshields too. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. This is The Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back in to The Clay Edwards Show, here live on WYAB. Let me get this picture of my fat butt off the screen there. All right. Welcome back in. We're live here in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios. During the break there, I pulled up my before and after photo of when I was 320 pounds to when I was 235 pounds last summer. Pictures 2 years apart. Just showing people the difference of, what's that, 70 pounds, 90 pounds almost? Dang, I'm so close to losing 100 pounds. I'm trying to get to 220. So I can say I lost 100 pounds. Now, I've pivoted I've had a lot of muscle growth too since the 320. So I'm pretty sure I lost 100 pounds of fat, but I gained 25, 30 pounds of muscle. But with all that said, somebody asked in the comments, how long did it take and what did I do? And I'm going to be honest. I mean, I go through these ebbs and flows of working out, but the majority of that change, that transformation came from testosterone, get my numbers back right, because it gave me the motivation and the drive and my body, the function to be able to do it. But I lost most of that weight in a really short amount of time, in like 100 days. And I did intermittent fasting, and I did keto, hardcore keto, really carnivore, just for the most part. And I quit drinking. Most part, less than 10 grams of carbs a day, sometimes just 0. And I ate one huge meal a day. I would eat between 6 and 10 p.m. And I lost 70 pounds in 100 days. And I've kept it off. Well, I did put back on like 30 pounds over about a year when in a relationship, but I was able to drop it immediately within a month when I got back focused. So I did gain like 30 pounds back, but like I said, I did lose it again. Well, I'm 6 pounds away from being back to the 235, but I have gained more muscle. So I look better now without a shirt on than I did a year ago without a shirt on. But I'm waiting to do another updated picture when I hit my next goal, because I think it's going to surprise y'all. I'm very proud of myself. So the overwhelming majority of my success or my transformation came from diet. That first 70 pounds, that 100 days where I lost that 70 pounds, I didn't hit a single weight and didn't do a lick of cardio. It was 100% due to my diet and not drinking and not eating bread or any of that stuff. Meat and eggs. And the weight just fell off. But the intermittent fasting, just one huge meal. I would eat like a big 2.5 pound, 3 pound meal for dinner. Just a huge steak, eggs, all that, but no carbs. And that fat just melted off. It was like a blowtorch on there. I wasn't taking the compounded semaglutide or anything like that. I didn't start taking that stuff until I was at 235 pounds to try to keep the weight off. So you can do it, man. If I can do it, you can 100% do it. I'm just now, the last 2 months, really, really hardcore at the gym. I'm working out, super tracking everything and really set some goals other than just lose weight. So like I said, my transformation mostly came from diet. All right, text Clay 601-800-5130 for your complimentary testosterone screening today. Is where it all begins. Get that testosterone back. So I want to play this video here. It's about 5 minutes, and it is of a father whose white daughter was killed. I really do hate making things about race, but anytime it's the other way around, we get the race aspect shoved down our throats. So I think it's just only fair to have that same uncomfortable conversation, but flipped. When y'all quit making things about race, I'll quit making things about race. Because I'm going to win every time. The stats, the numbers, everything backs it up. That blacks are killing whites at a much higher percentage than whites killing blacks. And that makes no sense if you look at the size of the populations. But we get drug over the coals and cities burn and all the usual reactions anytime somebody black dies at the hands of somebody white. So I think it's about time we start acting the same way when it happens the other way around. So here is Logan Federico's father discussing black Democrat death culture rot that led to his daughter's death. Democrat death culture, as I call it.
How many of y'all have kids? I'm just curious. Here's what I need you to do. When I tell you this story, think about your kids. Think about your child coming home from a night out with their friends, laying down, going to sleep, feeling somebody come in the room and wake them and drag her out of bed, naked, forced on her knees, with her hands over her head, begging for her life, begging for her hero, her father, me, that couldn't be there. She was 5'3". She weighed 115 pounds.
Looks just like my daughter.
Dead. Gone. Why? Because Alexander Devontae Dickey, who was arrested 39.
Big Devontae behavior. One of those names. Big Devontae behavior. I can't believe there's not at least 4 vowels in his name. Now I've got to mute this real quick because he says a bad word.
9 goddamn times. 25 felonies. Was on the street. How about that? How good are we doing for our family? How good are you doing for your kids? He should have been in jail for over 140 years for all the crimes he committed. You know how much time he spent in prison? A little over 600 days in 10 years.
What happened to the 3-strike policy?
Only 30 years old. He was committing 2.65 crimes a year since he was 15 years old, but nobody could figure out that he couldn't be rehabilitated. Well, you'd have to put him in prison to see if he could be rehabilitated. Isn't that the idea of prison? But no, my daughter wanted to be a teacher. She finally figured it out 2 weeks before she was executed. And I haven't heard a damn word from Byron Gibson in South Carolina. Not one word. 4 months, no communication. His biggest concern was that he was pissed off about my interview and how I made him look on the Fox News channel with Trey Gowdy. How pathetic is that? That we're letting our 22-year-old kid visiting friends. It's all she ever wanted to do was visit friends. And she literally was executed while on her knees, begging for her life. Her name's Logan Federico, not Irina. And you will not forget her. I promise you. You will be sick and tired of my face.
One of the women on the council or the Congress here had it confused and thought that he was the dad of the other girl that was going to try to say something to him, and he snapped on her. I don't know if that's in this video or not. I hadn't watched this whole thing, but here we go.
And my voice until this gets fixed. I will fight until my last breath for my daughter. You need to fight for the rest of our children, the rest of the innocents, and stop protecting the people that keep taking them from us. Please. You have the power. We put you in the power to do what you have to do. We're asking you, we're begging you all to stop this. 39 crimes in 10 years, 25 felonies. Can anybody here explain to me, well, how possibly he could be on the street? Possibly be on the street. How is it possible? I could sit down in a room and I could explain the whole process of how it failed, how South Carolina failed, Logan. Okay? How lack of communication. What y'all did, you woke up a beast and you pissed off the wrong daddy. Because I'm going to put it out there. And I'm not going to be quiet until somebody helps. Logan deserves to be heard. Everyone on this panel deserves to be heard. And we will. Trust me. My daughter laid on the floor for 7 hours before somebody in that house recognized that something was wrong. And that career criminal, an hour later, went on a spending spree with her debit card. When they saw his face on a video, they didn't have to do a check. He was arrested so many times they knew who he was. They knew exactly where to go get him. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic that I'm here today.
Let's take a break. When we come back, I'm going to unpack all of it. And you know I'm taking the gloves off. Well, I burned the gloves years ago. Let's anger some Democrats, some Chokwe Lumumba voters. I'm coming for y'all when we come back. Don't go nowhere. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show here live on WYAB. Of course, streaming and stunning HD live across the universe and beyond. At SaveJXN on Facebook, YouTube, and X, and at Clay Edwards Show on Rumble. We got about 10 minutes left of today's show, and then it'll be followed up with Chris Hinkle is filling in for Andrew Gassa today. Chris, you filling in just today?
Just today and tomorrow.
Today and tomorrow, and then he'll be doing my show for me, Wednesday? Wednesday. Gonna fill in for me Wednesday, so we appreciate having the retired FBI agent here on standby. It's great when your bullpen has got a retired FBI agent in it. That's good stuff. It'll be Chris's first time filling in for me, I believe. So excited to hear what he can do. And kind of one of them deals where I'm doing that movie and we're going to be filming potentially to 6 a.m. in the morning. So I was like, it'd be kind of hard to sneak in show prep, stay up all night, then drive from Vicksburg to here and give you guys a good radio show. I mean, some would debate that the show's never good, but I do put work and effort into it, and I don't want to sell you guys short or shortchange y'all on your radio listening experience. So we're going to have Chris in for me Wednesday, and then Sean and Lindsay are going to fill in Thursday as of right now. So we'll see how all that shakes out. All right, let's see here real quick. Lunch, McBee's. It's Chicken Spaghetti Monday. Swing by, grab what I deem to be the best chicken spaghetti in all of Central Mississippi. At McBee's, love it. Get their fried okra too. I stopped in there Saturday and grabbed a quick drink before we went over to the PGA tournament. Such a great place. They've done such a good job with it. Great staff. Shout out to Christy behind the bar, Beth, all of them over there. Good folks. Swing by McBee's, grab the lunch today. And hey, maybe you just want a sandwich. Try the club. It's my favorite. Or, hey, you want a hamburger? You a hamburger person? This is kind of hamburger weather, isn't it? It's raining. It's cloudy. Nothing, you ain't got to go outside and do anything. Try the Saturday morning burger. I know it's Monday. Try the Saturday morning burger. It's like a fried egg on the hamburger. Oh, man, it's so good. All right, that's McBee's, Buzz and a Riz, since 1982. All right, let's check out some of your comments here real quick. The Guns and Gear text line is 769-241-1944. All right, does not appear that any of your comments are on the current topic of the girl that got killed. We were just listening to. Some folks have circled back to the KYREN LACEY stuff, which is tragic, and we really peeled that onion back really, really far and discussed that from every angle. So I don't know that I want to go back and hit that again. Sad situation, but guys, look, suicide ain't the answer. Suicide is not the answer. Just act right. Don't be running from the cops and find yourself in a situation where you feel like you need to kill yourself. But, in his defense, the last time he was involved with anything with the cops, they falsely accused him of causing a wreck that killed a man. So I guess I could somewhat understand his plight there. If the last time you interacted with him, you caught a charge, they were about to go before the grand jury, and then here you are done run from them on something else, and probably wasn't going to end well for him. So at least he did it himself and didn't cause a suicide by cop, which would have led to all kind of hell breaking loose because cops killed a black man. Well, speaking of black men that should have been killed by the cops, how about the one that we just played that video about, the one that killed this innocent, beautiful young girl Logan Federico. That man should have had one put in the back of his head, the front of his head, his heart, somewhere, anywhere, long time before he had an opportunity to kill this young girl. Broke in the house, drug her out of her bed, put her on her knees, probably sexually assaulted her, I would guess. And the father didn't mention that, and I wouldn't either if it was the other way, if it was my daughter. But then put a bullet in the back of her head, took her debit card, and went on a spending spree. The guy's got 25 damn felonies. 25. Again, what happened to the 3 strikes law? And this happened in South Carolina. It's South Carolina. Man, I tell you, they got their share of black Democrats there too that are more concerned with, we can't be locking up black men. That's not how we fix this. We can't sentence away our problems. Yes, we can. And in this country, we used to. And it seemed to have worked a lot better than the current setup. When we took these animals and we threw them in jail forever, it really seemed to fix things a lot better than what we're currently doing. Because this whole situation where we're taking these thugs and we're putting them in jail for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, whatever, a year, 2 years at a time, not doing anything with them but teaching them how to be better animals while they're in jail, grooming them, so to say, to be better criminals, more violent, stronger, harder, faster than they went in. That's not helping us. This is basically catch and release. We're catching them. We're building them into a better criminal. We're giving them weights to work out, connections to make while they're in there. And they're coming out and they're savages. They're like pit bulls getting a hold of an infant. And then we have to deal with this crap. They're not scared of going back to jail. It's like, because a lot of them are gay too. They're not your traditional gay, not your LGBTQ rainbow supremacist gay, but, they're prison gay. They look hard, but a lot of guys don't want to go back to jail because, there's only boy booty there. And guys like Clay don't like boy booty. I don't know that I don't like it, but I'm going to go out on a limb and guess I don't because I ain't never had it and I don't want it. I don't want to find out if I like it or not. That's supposed to be funny. I'm trying to bring some levity to this. Anyway, they're not scared of jail. That's why you just got to lock them up and keep them there. Instead of letting them get out, do some dumb stuff, kill some people, and go back, in and out. There was another one the other day I saw, and I tried to find it. Let me see if I can find it now. A black guy, another one of these, broke into a house, killed a 6-year-old, stabbed a 6-year-old to death, and then spent 6 years in jail. This happened in Kentucky. Let me find it here real quick. And he just got out after 6 years, and I guess Kentucky and Florida have some kind of deal worked out where they'll take each other's criminals. So the guy gets out, and he's going to go stay down in Florida to roll out his sentence or whatever. Not sentence, but his house arrest, his being on papers, his parole. I think the dad that got stabbed by this guy, by the way, after he killed his son and stabbed some other people in the house, the dad basically has said he's going to go down there and kill him. Let me find that real quick. This is worth looking up here real quick. Google. Sorry, I only got a few minutes left here, but I want to make sure I get this right. I mean, I know I got my details right, but I want to make sure. I want to show y'all because some of y'all are stupid. And you think that I just make stuff up? Like, Clay, black men ain't doing that. Oh, yes, they are. And y'all always say, here's the comeback I'm tired of. White people do it too. Show me. Show me where it's apples for apples comparison that white people are doing it too. A lot less serious. I shared a post on my Facebook this morning of a black woman who destroyed a Little Caesars because they tried to charge her $1 for some extra sauce. Destroys it, just tears everything up, knocks the register off, probably jumps up on the counter and twerks. That's like a nervous twitch or something, like a release. Like, let me just twerk right now. Let me get my sauce. Pee popping on a handstand. I feel better now. But people always say, white people do it too. Well, I've never seen a video of a white girl twerking on the counter at Taco Bell or Little Caesars because they tried to charge her extra for her sauce. But you know what I do see? Every time I open up my social media, I see videos of black women doing it. So anyway, next time y'all tell me white people do it too, show me. Pretend I'm from the show me state. Let's see here. Black man released from prison after killing 6-year-old. After killing 6-year-old in Kentucky. Google is doing a quick AI generator. Yep. Ronald Exantus, an Indiana man, was recently released from prison after serving less than 7 years of a 20-year sentence, which seems light anyway, for the 2015 killing of 6-year-old Logan Tipton in Versailles, Kentucky. Exantus, who is black, was released on parole in October 2025 based on good behavior and education credits. Why was he not sentenced to life? Do they not have the death penalty in Kentucky? It's like this a-hole Daniel Callahan, this satanic meth idiot in Jackson that killed the mom in Louisiana, brought the 2 young girls up here, raped and murdered one, and then just raped the other one. Just getting multiple life sentences everywhere. At what point do we have enough to say the bastard has to die? At what point is it enough? When do you cross the line of demarcation where you say, you know what? Life ain't going to cut it. It's death. Where is that line? We'll be right back to land the plane for the day. I'm not done. All right, guys. I'm still live. Hold on. All right, guys. I'm just coming back to land the plane, so I'm just going to say bye to y'all now. Y'all have a blessed one, and I will see y'all back tomorrow, and then I will be off for 2 days, but see you tomorrow. Don't go anywhere. Well, go wherever. Listen to WYAB if you're listening on the radio, but you're not listening on the radio because you're watching this. Hit share. How about do that for me? I gave you all a lot of fire content today. Hit the share button. Peace.